Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy, and I got an interesting vehicle here to talk about real quickly. This is the 2017 Honda Ridgeline, back after a 2-year vacation. It's been heavily restyled, as you can see. It now looks actually more like a truck instead of a kind of neo-Aztecian pickup like the previous one did, but it retains the same familiar broad brush layout. It's a crew cab with a 5.3 foot short bed, which is actually a bigger bed than some of the short beds that you'll find in conventional pickups like the Chevy Colorado crew cab, which is a 5.1 foot bed standard. Also, let me show you some of the interesting details about the thing. Check out how tightly fitted the bed is to the cab of the vehicle. There's no air gap here, so it's a really seamless looking vehicle. Really tight, really nice. It's a little bit longer than it was before, and the upside to that is you've got a roomier back seat, and because this thing is based on a front-wheel drive layout, which some people mock. Oops, I've only got two hands here, but anyway, just showing you how that seat flips up like that, and maybe you can see that the floor pan is flat. Now, if this were a conventional, air quotes, real truck, you would have a hump right here in the floor pan because of the way the drivetrain is laid out. That is front to back, with the engine mounted longitudinally front to rear and transmission bolted to that, and then the drive shaft running from the transmission to the back of the vehicle. But because this thing is built on what we call in the car business a car-type platform, here, let me pop the hood. That means it is transverse engine, sideways mounted, and front-wheel drive with an all-wheel drive system available optionally. The previous Ridgeline, by the way, was not available with front-wheel drive. Now that is available in the base trim, which is kind of nice if you don't need the all-wheel drive. It has the same V6 as before, hilariously named Earth Dreams. I love the nomenclature. Same displacement, 3.5 liters, but the horsepower is now up to 280 versus 250 before. And the really important thing isn't that 30 horsepower bump, it's that the new Ridgeline is several hundred pounds lighter than the previous one. And that, as a result, has made it much, much quicker than it was before. It now takes about 6 seconds to get to 60 versus 8.3 before. And it's a little bit more fuel efficient as well. To get something that's more fuel efficient in this configuration of vehicle, you probably want to go to something like a Chevy Canyon or Colorado with the newly available diesel engine, but that will cost you a fortune. On the other hand, you can tow up to about 7,700 pounds with either of those, whereas this tows 5,000, which is more than most cars. Most mid-sized cars will tow about 3,500 pounds, so that's pretty good. But let me show you the bed here, some of the cool things and some of the not so cool things. All right, one of the very cool things is that you've got this additional underbed area right here. Look at that. You could put an illegal alien here if you wanted to get him across the border. Or you could put ice and drinks, and you've got a drain plug right there, so no problem. But by now you may have seen the thing that's not so cool, and that is the Space Saver Donut Spare. And two problems with that. One, obviously, if this is closed and you've got stuff in here and you get a flat tire, you're going to have to unload your bed before you can change your tire. And the other thing is that spare tire is one of those temporary use only deals. It's really just to gimp you down to the next gas station. It's not really designed to replace a flat tire. Most real trucks have a real spare, and typically it is mounted under here, and you get to it by cranking down the tire. The problem is, of course, you've got the well in there, and that makes it really difficult to put the tire underneath the bed. On the other hand, notice no wheel arches right there and right there inside the bed, and the result of that is that you can carry flat a 4x8 sheet here. If you get into a conventional truck like the Canyon or the Colorado or the Toyota Tacoma, you're going to have a hump right here for the wheels in the rear, and that means you cannot carry a 4x8 sheet flat. You have to kind of cant it at an angle like that. What else did I want to mention? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you something else. Because this thing is based on a car-type platform, it's not so jacked up. You know, it still looks reasonably tough, but it is not so jacked up. And let me show you two of the practical applications or consequences of that. Look, I don't have to climb up to get into the bed. That's number one. A lot of trucks nowadays have bed walls that are literally about this high, and I'm 6'3", and so, you know, getting into the bed, reaching into it is difficult. Not on this thing. Very easy to get into the bed. Also very easy to get into the bed. You don't have to have a stepladder with this thing, which, believe it or not, you actually do find in a number of other trucks, just because it's virtually impossible to get in the thing without standing on a milk crate or having a ladder. The other thing that I wanted to show you, and one of the things that's always been appealing about this, and again, bear with me for my awkwardness here, I only have 2 hands, but the step-in height is, let's see here, only about 20 inches. Okay, from the ground to the top of the door sills there, it's about 20 inches. And if this were a truck-type vehicle on a with the body bolted onto the frame, it would be considerably higher. And, you know, you'd have to step up and step in, and you'd need grab handles. Typically a truck will have a grab handle here so that even a tall geek like me can just kind of grab it and step up into it. You don't have that issue here. So you just kind of sit in it just like a car, and it's extremely easy to drive, very much like a car, and that's one of the reasons why vehicles like this, that is crossovers and cars, four-wheel drive, have become so very popular. Turn this on so you can get a look at the inside. The interior is redesigned also too, and it's very clean, it's very nicely done. You don't have an elaborate gauge cluster, and because it's all-wheel drive, this one has all-wheel drive, you do not have a separate gear lever for the low-range gearing, because there is no low-range gearing. There's no transfer case or any of that. You just have this mode here. You push this and you get normal snow, mud, and sand, which alters some of the shift characteristics and throttle tip-in and things like that. But this is really not meant to be a rock crawler or a severe off-roader. Overall, though, it's very practical. It's a notch up from what you get in a car. It's a notch up from what you get in a crossover, too, because you've got a bed that's open in the back, and that makes it feasible, for example, to cart home a refrigerator, a couple of dirt bikes if you wanted to, things that you can't really do in a crossover SUV. One of the very, very few nits that I have for this vehicle, I don't particularly like this, and this is the reason I don't like it so much is because it's entirely flat, it's touch sensitive, and that means that, you know, you kind of like your hand is moving around and you have to be really exact about what you push, and that's easy enough to do when I'm sitting here parked, but when the vehicle's moving, you know, your hand is moving, the vehicle's moving a little bit, and it's hard to be precise about things like changing the volume, going to home, going to the audio, or whatever it is you're doing. But that's becoming such a common problem in so many new cars that, you know, what are you going to do? That's just the way they're designing vehicles today. Anyway, that is pretty much it. The rest will be up on the site, epautos.com, hopefully by this afternoon. There's also a rant about one of my favorite things to rant about, and that's Elon Musk and his make-work projects, and the way he sticks his hands into the taxpayers' pockets. So, thanks for viewing, and I hope you'll come by the site, and we'll catch you on the flip.